Every like 6 to 9 months, I like to do a collection tour update on my channel. I haven't done one since September, and I've changed a lot on my shelves, including making these last 2 shelves completely filled with figures. And since it's the end of the year, I just wanted to take a moment to showcase a lot of the customs that I either made or bought this year. And any customizers that I mentioned will be linked below, so just keep an ear out for their name and then go find them in the description below. We're going to start with these Hoth archive repaints by Frederick's Figures. I did switch out the cloth goods on Luke's hat, and I hit them with some AK Terrain's snow effects on the front there, and then I also did like a light mist with an airbrush, just kind of adding that subtle powdery snow all over them. These archive releases were so disappointing because they just really did not look great, but once we got some fresh faces on these have become 2 of my favorite figures in the collection. I love looking at these. Next we have another repaint by Frederick's Figures on this Dagobah Luke, and he also did my R2-D2 here. I think that's the Bandai model kit all Dagobah'd up. And then this Yoda is actually from a 7-inch scale statue set of R2-D2, but he fits perfectly on 1/12 scale, and I just think he looks better than the Black Series one that we have at that scale. You guys know I have a vendetta against soft goods. So Bosk is just mostly here for scale. I did do a little bit of like a dark wash on him, bringing out a lot of that detail, but I really wanted to show off this IG-11 turned into IG-88. I can't bring myself to really paint him because it's such an expensive import figure, but I did take the accessories from the IG-11 from the Black Series and put them on IG-88 here, and I think it just looks a lot better than the tiny wobbly one that we got in the Black Series. So I just want to throw that one in as a quick look. So here's some Revenge of the Sith love with this Bail Organa painted for me and completely made and sculpted by Tim's Toys, a Fett clone head on this Figuarts Obi-Wan, and then another Fett clone head on Anakin with a robe that I 3D printed. Oh, I need to repaint his elbow there. But these, the robe files are available on my Patreon, and all the other painters that I mentioned will be linked below. It's a shame we don't have a better Obi-Wan and Anakin in the Black Series, but I'm hoping that in 2025 we will see some love shown to Revenge of the Sith finally. This Jawa is just straight out of the package, but I 3D printed the Gonk droid, and then all of the junk that the Jawa is holding is all 3D printed, and then the Treadwell droid is files from Skylu 3D, also printed, and I painted all of these myself. I also painted this battle droid with the Security battle droid look, and then this is a Palpatine I've shown many times on the channel with a head by Fett clone. It seems like a no-brainer that we would get a lot of battle droid repaints in the Black Series, but we haven't really seen any of these alternates for the Beige battle droid. I started working with a sculptor called the Glowing Ghost on files for my Patreon, and we're going through a lot of the Cantina aliens here, and I always try to find a head that would fit on an existing body. Let me know in the comments below if you can recognize all 4 of the bodies that we used here. And using my phone, I was actually able to 3D scan a figure, and we were able to get a perfectly sized piece on the midriff of the 4-armed alien here with those arms attached, so it just has a nice kind of seamless appearance. I had Frederick's Figures repaint some of the ladies you see on screen now. He does a really good job with makeup, and after seeing some of the ones on his page, I just knew that I had to have them, and now it's one of these wormholes where now that I've seen how good they can look, just factory figures just don't cut it for me half the time now, but a lot of them are pretty good, but whenever I can, I like to have him repaint some of these. I also replaced the soft goods skirt on Asajj Ventress with the dark gray skirt that I painted, and then the Aayla Secura hand is actually from a Luke Cage 2-pack Marvel Legends figures, and it is the exact right blue. All I had to do was switch it out. I was able to find them on eBay just on their own for a couple dollars, and it looks amazing. We need more Force hands on Jedi. I've been wanting to make this Captain Antilles custom for so long, but I was just waiting for the right body to come out, and so that new Marvel Legends Talos figure, which is on clearance currently, actually works perfectly. And then I did some weathering on C-3PO and R2-D2 here just to kind of match their Tatooine look. You can see I didn't spend too much time on the back of them because, you know, they'll be facing the back of the shelf 99.9% of the time. Next is one of the most anticipated figures I've ever had. This is from an amazing painter named Nuno, who did the entire sculpt here as well as the painting. As someone who grew up with the prequels, this was such an iconic character and an iconic figure that I remember having on my shelf as a kid, and my prequel shelf just felt so incomplete without a proper Queen Amidala. And then another bit of files from Patreon with this Captain Panaka here. I had a little trouble with the resin print and I painted it myself. I'm gonna have Frederick or Tim redo that for me. And then this Watto was actually a scaled up file that was made for tabletop miniatures, but it looked really nice and proportionate, so I just scaled it up and I had Tim's Toys paint it up for me. I absolutely love it, and again, just adding some nice depth to the prequel shelf. I wasn't 100% happy with how this custom turned out, but I'm glad that I gave it a try. This is Mayday from the the Bad Batch. I actually used masking tape that I kind of secured with some super glue here. It came out okay, I think it scales nicely, and then I used that same AK Terrain snow effect on this, but it's really the head by Fett clone that makes this figure. Just an amazing interpretation of how Mayday would look in live action, and that scarf is from Cobb Vanth. Since Tim and Frederick live close to me, we hang out a lot in person, which means that I get first dibs on insanely amazing figures like these Night Troopers here that Frederick did. This Sabine poncho is also from Patreon, as well as the Loth Cat, which was printed for me by my friend The Toxic Collector on Instagram, someone that I met at Star Wars Celebration that turns out to be an awesome painter. These Night Troopers are made with real gold leaf, and I was just so happy to get one. I only wanted to buy one from Frederick, but he kind of insisted that I take two, and so I gave him my Figuarts Indiana Jones in exchange, which to me I think was an amazing deal. And I always let Tim and Frederick go through my fodder bin whenever they come over and pull figure parts that they need for customs that they're working on for other clients. When I had the Endor bunker diorama on my shelf, I wanted to have it filled with rebel troops, and so I used a lot of different parts and an airbrush with some camo paint to get all of these variations that you see here. That head of Old Man Rex is from Fett Clone, and I just knew he had to be on the Endor shelf. And this is a Hoth Leia body with a different vest and just a bunch of random pieces kind of mishmashed together. G.I. Joe head, some Marvel Legends stuff. Even the backpacks are different here. These were all done by Frederick as well. The Zeb is 3D printed with parts that were designed by Skylu 3D. I think the same is true of the New Republic soldier here. And then Hera is just a repaint on the face and a little bit of pastel work on the clothing just to bring out a little bit more of that detail. But how insane is this Zeb? Skylu completely nailed the sculpt here, just really capturing the appearance of him in The Mandalorian. It was brief, but it will always be represented now on my shelf. I went hard on the custom figures during the Ahsoka show run. I repainted Hu Yang here as just the straight Black Series one, and then I made the Sabine using the Samara Jade parts and hair from Marvel Legends Katie, and then that helmet also by Skylu, painted by the Toxic Collector again, and then this helmet was sculpted by J Syrian 3D for my Patreon. That is the Ahsoka legs, I think a Mara Jade torso, and then I 3D printed the sword, which I designed myself just to give her like training look. I'm not good at painting faces, so I wanted to create a Pelimoto kit that you could just easily print out and paint without needing to be good at faces. The Tuscan Warrior is using parts by the Glowing Ghost that I commissioned for my Patreon on top of a dark ray body, and then these Pike soldiers are just a simple face repaint since we didn't get any alternate faceplates, unfortunately. I loved my Dexter Jeter figure as a kid, and so I commissioned the Glowing Ghost to sculpt these files for me. He absolutely nailed it. I did this paint job myself, and it's one of the ones that I'm most proud of. I feel like it's sort of a culmination of everything I've learned about painting over the last 4 years that I've been doing this. Next, we have our little Jedi Survivor moment here with a custom head by Fett Clone on that cowl, a Battle Droid spear by Imprint Condition. This is just a simple kit bash. You could probably figure that one out for yourself. And then Turgle and Scuva Stev, also files for my Patreon here, painted by the Toxic Collector, who also made me this amazing like fiery Vader, and I did a repaint of the KX Security Droid to actually look how he looks in the game. A little sequel moment here with a custom Last Jedi Fin that I made, just kit bashing some things together. This John Williams as Omar Tress from The Rise of Skywalker head sculpt by Blue D on Instagram, painted by Frederick's Figures, and then a Tim's Toys Lando that's just slightly older, but I love that pop of yellow on my sequel shelf there. Jumping back to the original trilogy to close this out, a custom Lobot that I made, and the head was painted by Frederick. I made this ATST pilot by kit bashing some stuff together. That's a James McAvoy head. And then this Imperial Gunner kit from Hoth Cave that just clicks right onto a Death Squad gunner. Definitely check out his Instagram if you're interested in that. If you want to see my entire collection, that video is up on my channel. Please be sure to go through some of the Instagram accounts linked below and give them a follow. Everyone that I mentioned makes so much cool stuff, and this is just a fraction of what they have to offer. So much eye candy on their pages. Thank you guys all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Give it a like, subscribe if you are new here, and I will see you all next time.